So these are just like sealed bread and butter.
I love these cards.
Yeah.
We got to play some sealed.
Yeah,
Did you bring back
do.
any packs or anything?
No, but we definitely will with the upcoming release
But
of the
I
set.
want it now. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this video on the Alpha Clash Unrivaled set. A couple of things have happened that are notable that are going to kind of color this video. The first is that Zach just got back late last night from Las Vegas at LVL Up Expo. So you have been in the thick of Alpha Clash the past few days.
That was the first like major organized play event for Alpha Clash. Their first organized play season kicking off. It's called the Clash Ground. So it was a set 3, which is what we're reviewing today. We're overviewing. World premiere on Saturday, sealed, open your packs, build your deck, play, and it was awesome. And then Sunday was constructed, so the game really kicking off at this point.
Yeah, so that's been going on. And then we have the end of preview season for all of set 3 Unrivaled that was scattered across a lot of different content creators. Did a great job showing off all the cards. So what we've done here is using Zach's experience as now a elite Alpha Clash player, having been to the Clash Ground and done fairly well, quite well, in fact. We had Zach choose a number of cards that, in your sealed experience and kind of looking through the set, seem to be some of the more notable cards. And then obviously the contenders and Clash buffs being among the most important of those. And then we've got some of the elite cards and some of the nice art treatments to show as well as our exclusive promo for our subscription for set 3. So all of this and more awaits you if you just keep watching the video. So we hope that you will.
Yeah, and if you're new to Alpha Clash, I talked to a lot of people this weekend, obviously who played Alpha Clash, and it really feels like with set 3, the stride has been hit. This is on a very different level. I think the art in set 2 and set 3 is particularly evolved and got incredible and really consistent. And then the gameplay itself, the sealed format for this was really, really fun.
You're speaking my language.
I never played. It was actually my first Alpha Clash tournament, I guess. I didn't really connect the dots on that. And so if you've heard of this game before and maybe you didn't think it was for you, I think this set's worth checking out. So hang out, check out these cards, and we'll have a big discussion about all this stuff.
All right, man. Well, let's kick it off with we've got a ton of new contenders, which of course is like the hero in the game. So you bring one to the table, and that's going to influence a lot of your deck building. You want to start off with Lord Krung?
Yeah, let's do it. I was talking to Ridge, who's the founder of Rising Empire this weekend, and after seeing all these contenders, the question was, are there going to be 5 to 7 new contenders every set? Because like in Flesh and Blood, there's 15 to 16, but they rotate. With the Living Legend format.
Yeah.
Currently there's no rotation.
There they are.
And he was like, yeah, that's the intent. It's like, all right, it's about to get crazy.
So they're just throwing a lot of contenders constantly. I mean, if you want to keep a meta fresh, that is the way to do it.
Yeah, it's going to be at some point, it's going to be the Wild West. It's like you can be one of any 48 or literally 100 contenders. Who
like
knows?
that Smash Brothers screen, It's like, there's 80 different characters to choose from.
Yeah, so I think it is good to start with the contenders here. So Lord Krung, 20 health, which is low. Like
that is low.
Set 1, the normal was 30 health. His stats are 0 attack, 1 defense. So he doesn't do anything when he's attacking, but every time he gets attacked, he's reducing damage by 1.
Yeah.
And so you win the game when you get your opponent to 0. So he starts low, but he kind of gets this free. You have to attack your opponent at least 10 times. I don't want to say it's not all the time. There'll probably be some decks where it's like the Spirit Bomb.
Yeah.
One shot, 1 kill at some point. That doesn't exist as far as I know. So it's kind of like he actually has like 30 health.
Okay.
At least.
So this is kind of a template they're exploring, right? Is like crank the defense value up, lower the health, and kind of see. So certain metas might favor if there's a lot of small attackers that are out in the meta. Lord Krung's gonna be a good choice.
It's like naturally anti-swarm. If you have a war deck that puts a bunch of war tokens out, they just don't do anything.
That makes sense. Okay.
And then he's got an ability. It's the 20 next to it means it's active when he's at 20 or less health, so it's active from the start. Whenever it discarded, that's what that logo is, and you'll see that in the bottom right of the card as well. Clash card, you control enters play from anywhere other than your hand, you draw a card.
Okay.
So what you'll see through some of these cards is that the discarded, their name of the discarded.
Wait a minute. I've got to guess. I've got to guess where they're going to come from.
But I thought it would actually be, they're going to be able to be played from the discard pile. And given the lore, where like this portal opens from another world and these discarded just start swarming in, that makes a lot of sense. But then we get into the like into the sealed portion, and there's cards where it's like, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put one into play.
Oh, sweet.
They also, and this is really cool. So set 1, they're traps, so you have to put them face down to be able to play them. And as we were testing, this is the first time I tested for an event with this game. It's like, I don't understand how these are ever going to happen.
We kind of were thinking that at the very beginning, early on. It's like, this just doesn't seem...
Yeah, you have to like pre-commit a card, and then you have to have resources open on your opponent's turn. And there's nothing for you to do with them most of the time on their turn, which has also changed. But a lot of the discarded in this set actually go down as traps, and then they can interplay on certain things. So it's not just interplay. Before, it's like if your opponent has a trap and 3 resources open, you just don't attack.
Yeah, right.
Because the next round, they're going to spend their resources, and it's like, oh, I'll attack, and they can't use the trap. And so you kind of get away with it. But there are a lot of the discarded that trigger on play, trigger on playing a card, trigger on discard, trigger on...
Cool. Okay.
And so then, some of them are like, if your opponent attacks, you can trigger and block, and like it's this whole thing. But anyways...
so you think there will be plenty of opportunities to trigger that ability?
Yes. And notably, a lot of the draw abilities are limited to once a turn, and his is not.
Oh, wow.
So if you can find a way to do that multiple times, he's just going to...
Okay.
You get
it. This is starting to make a lot of sense.
And then at 12 health, he gets once per turn during your primary phase. You may engage this card. If you do, target discarded clash card you control gets Torment until the end of turn. Torment is that clash card can only be obstructed by 2 or more clash cards.
Okay.
So he's also got kind of a finishing ability. You put a big character out, they have to block with 2. And if they don't have 2, or it's like you put a flyer out, they need 2 flyers to block.
Oh, right.
It's really obnoxious.
It's really, these 20 health contenders too, some of the back and forth on this is they're probably hitting that ability before some of the other contenders? Or is it proportionally like, is it normally 30-15?
So all the set 1 were 30-10.
30-10, right? So
and
this is 12.
Now we're starting to see very different mixes of this stat. So
I mean, he could get to 12 really quickly.
Unfortunately, he could, yeah.
And then use that one defense to stay relatively healthy underneath that curve.
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right. Next up, Magnate, Indomitable Will.
Man, a lot of magnates.
This is my guy from this set. It's what I played this weekend, the limited event.
Okay.
And it's because, if you'll notice on the bottom left, he's got a 2. 2 is twice as much as a 1. It's 100% more than a 1. He's got 25 health, so he's got 5 more health than Krung, but he has no defense. So
right.
And then his ability that's active from the very get-go is whenever this clash card becomes the target of a non-clash buff action. That's a lot to follow. We'll get to that in a second.
So something that's not a clash buff.
That's right. An action that's not a clash buff.
Okay.
He gets +1 defense. If an opponent controls 3 or more clash cards, this card may not attack that opponent's contender.
Oh, wow.
So if they have 3 clash, basically characters out, he can't just straight up attack their contender. And so if the 3 characters they have are actually not engaged, which means they're untapped, basically, he can't attack them either.
Wow.
So his 2 attack is like a little bit reined in that
okay.
If they need to have not that much out, or they need to have used something in order for him to really be able to do something.
So you need to clear the board and keep the board clean.
That's right.
For Magnate to keep working.
Yeah. Now the other part of that is probably the thing you wouldn't think about is just him having 2 means that when their clash cards attack you, they're going to take 2.
Oh, sure.
So there's a lot of units that have like 2 health, and if they attack him, they'll do damage to him, but they will also die. Unless there's a clash buff or whatever. Huh. But he kind of fixes it with his 15. At 15, he turns on his other ability. He gets 2 things. Trigger Victory, which means if he destroys a clash card, draw a card.
Draw a card. Awesome.
And again, this is not... He could technically do this multiple times if he could ready and do it again, but that's seemingly hard. Then he also gets, at the start of your turn, you can choose 1. He gets Breakthrough or Close Combat. Breakthrough is damage past something's health goes to the contender, and Close Combat is he can attack things even if they're not engaged.
Very cool.
Which is important late game because they'll have 5 things out, and for him to attack, Close Combat is the way.
That's a really cool design. How have you found the draw abilities on the contenders being a critical piece of this puzzle? Because when I look at Magnate, for instance, and I see no draw ability until 15 health, I'm like, because some of those earlier contenders have these consistent draw abilities, and it seems like it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really well-balanced hero, or I guess contender, because it's funny they're not called heroes in this game. Of all games. And Magnate's definitely not a hero, so contender makes sense. But because he's got the 2, and because the game, you start with 0 resources and you play a resource. So a lot of times you don't play anything on the first turn. Maybe you do a 1 drop, maybe you do a 2 drop. But usually, in my games at least, it's like play a resource, attack. And so he's taking damage pretty quickly, but he's doing 2. So you're kind of creating this tempo, and you get to 15 pretty quick. Nice. If they play a 2 drop with 3 attack, 2 life as an example, which is one of my favorite cards, you just attack it, you take 3, they go away. But now you're closer to your 15.
Sure, okay.
And then once he gets there, it starts rolling.
So that's supposed to kind of be at the time I start needing to really draw cards, I'm at 15, and I'm trying to close the game out, and now it's like the final sprint.
Yeah.
Very cool.
100%.
Kao Ling.
All right.
Man, that card is beautiful. I love the design on this hero, or this contender.
In Limited, I feel like he's very hard to play. Kao Ling.
Classic.
Yeah. In Constructed.
Found it.
Yeah. Steven went like a moth to flame. But I think in Constructed, he's going to be very good. So he's also got 20.
Challenge, you say, huh?
25 health and 1 attack, 0 defense. And his first ability is once during your turn, during your primary phase, which is your action phase. You may engage this card. If you do, choose a target face-down card in your opponent's accessory zone and turn it face up. If it has ambush, you may return that card to its owner's hand. Otherwise, that card remains face up in its owner's accessory zone.
Okay, so this is to try to find, to try to sniff out the traps and weird stuff.
And his lore is he's a discarded hunter, basically. He's like a demon hunter.
Oh, cool.
And so they're going to be the ones putting things face down the most, and he flips it up. And if it's ambush, they actually bounce back to hand. So he's good at doing that.
Very cool.
And then when you attach a weapon to a rogue clash card you control, you may engage this card. If you do, ready that clash card. That's
why you're there. We've already previewed this or talked about this before, because I remember, or we were talking about on the Discord, I remember seeing this card and thinking that second ability is the one that has to matter. It's for the deck to work.
It's why you're there.
Yeah.
Because the other one is so conditional on your opponent doing something that makes sense. And then at 15, he gets when this card gets trigger attack. This contender gets +1 defense until the end of turn. Then draw a card.
Ooh.
So once he gets to 15, when he's attacking, he's taking less damage.
And he's drawing
a card.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but you have to attack to do that. So if your opponent has anything scary out,
you could see how that would be difficult.
That would be difficult.
Oh yeah. That's exactly where I am, dude.
Steven's character is on the table. All right, next up.
You're gonna have to really try hard to make that good.
That's right. Okay. We have Lynn, Rogue Agent.
Man, the art in the set is really doing a great job.
I love this. This reminds me of Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah,
looking vibes. And this character is really cool in the book. Anyways, 30 health, 1 attack, 0 defense. So these are the stat lines from all the set 1 contenders, basically. At 30, clash cards you control may attack ready clash cards with 1 or more bounty counters on them.
Okay, well that could be a notable ability, maybe.
And then at 10, whenever a clash card you don't control is defeated, if it had 1 or more bounty counters, that card's controller diminishes 2 cards.
Is that top of deck?
Discard from top of deck.
Okay, mill.
If this is the first time this ability is triggered this turn, alpha clash cards you control.
Rogue.
Alpha clash cards that have the rogue symbol on them, you control get +1 attack until the end of turn.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first ability is very notable. If you have ways to put bounty counters on, a lot of times your opponent will put their utility units on the table and not attack with them.
Right.
And you can't get to them unless you have close combat. So the ability to attack things that have bounty on them, and then usually in the set, the blue cards that put bounties also get rewards for collecting that bounty, so to speak.
Got it. Okay. That's a cool mechanic.
Yeah.
So that allows you to basically take out some of their utility stuff, and then you get rewarded for doing so. All good.
That's right.
Okay. And then whenever a clash card you don't control is defeated, so basically whenever one of theirs is defeated, if it had a bounty, they mill 2, and then your rogues get +1 attack.
That's right.
Okay. We like it.
Also notable.
There's just a million deck building levers to pull on these things.
If you run out of cards in your deck, you lose.
Oh, good to know.
So you can lose by mill. This is the first time we've really seen it. But even, at least in the limited format, we didn't see a lot of that, actually.
I've never come close, I feel like, in this game.
All right, next up, we have my favorite, Flare Nova Assailant. She's got this 30 health, 1-0 stat line. Her second ability, though, triggers at 15.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So her first one is whenever 1 or more clash card you don't control are defeated by non-clash damage. So you defeat them with direct damage, basically. Deal 1 damage to target contender. Then create 1 red Nova Relic accessory token. So the Nova token is blank. It's just a token.
Okay.
But it is an accessory. So things that destroy accessories or target accessories can get the Nova tokens.
Okay.
That was something we learned.
Oh, that's cool.
as we went. And then our second ability, you're like, well, why do we want Nova tokens? Once during your turn, during your primary phase, you may engage this card and send one Nova token you control to Oblivion. If you do, target clash card you control gets flight until the end of turn.
That's just really a cool way to play. That's just very cool.
Yeah, you drop some big unit and send them with flight with their flare token, which is really cool.
You use your burn damage to collect these Nova tokens, and then at the end of the game, you start giving stuff flight with them. Wow. Okay.
You get it.
Man, that's just a million. How different all these contenders have to play.
Yeah, and it's funny looking back at like the original Magnate, who's like, all your alpha cards get +1 defense, and these are just, and the stats are changing. There's just a lot of little. You see how they could very easily create a bunch of different contenders,
and they think they're going to make like 5 new contenders every set. Y'all, that is insane.
It's a lot. We will see. All right, next up we have Weber Demolition Agent. So he's 25 health, 1 attack, 0 defense. I'm reading this card for the first time.
And these are the ones that come in the Clash kit.
Yeah, the Weber and the Warcry are the 2-player cash kit from the set. When you attach, this is the 25 ability, so he starts with this. When you attach a weapon you control to a Clash card you don't control, you may engage this contender if you do draw a card.
So put a weapon on their stuff, engage this draw card.
And then while there's a weapon you control attached to a Clash card you don't control, this contender gets +1 defense.
So this has got to be like a put stuff on them that makes them bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And at 15, if you control 3 or more attached weapons, Alpha Hunter cards you control get +1 defense. So one of the things in the set is that there are weapons you can now attach to the contenders.
Oh, okay.
And so...
that seems powerful.
Yeah, so they can attach to him, or if you have 3 just on the table, they all get +1 defense. So I see exactly where this guy's going.
And if you control 3 or more attached weapons, so even things that are attached to their stuff, you would control, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got to know what all those are. I mean, where are those?
That's in the starter deck. I haven't even seen it yet.
Oh, man.
Next up, we get Warcry. You like the...
Is it a bison?
Bison, yeah. I was going to say buffalo, but I knew it was wrong.
That's right.
25 health, 1 attack, 0 defense. Its starting ability is whenever you exhaust a card you control for the first time each turn, draw a card.
What?
That's so good.
Well, that's it. I mean, don't even
stop reading the card. Oh, my goodness. That's okay. Trigger attack. You may exhaust this card. If you do, until the end of turn, up to 1 target Clash card you control assigns Clash damage equal to its defense power rather than its attack power.
All right, now hold on a second, Zach. How does this possibly work? Trigger attack. Don't you have to exhaust to attack? You may exhaust.
No, you engage.
You engage to attack?
Yeah.
What do you say? Oh, exhaust. What is exhausting?
I don't know. That's crazy.
Is that like turn it underground? Like a stun effect?
Maybe. So at 15, it says, while this contender is exhausted, Clash cards you control get +1 defense during each opponent's Clash phase.
Clash cards you control. What's a student? Huh.
This has got to be new.
New mechanic.
Also,
you didn't see this in the sealed event or anything?
No, this is non-existent in the sealed event. So it's also worth noting, it says each opponent can Clash phase.
What?
We haven't seen multiplayer yet, but
are they starting to switch to the language? I mean, why wouldn't you?
Here's the hint.
Everybody can play the cards.
I don't know what this means, but tune in later to find out. I'm going to carry on. We've seen the contenders, the 7 new contenders.
Look at it. A card that is exhausted does not ready during your next ready step. It's the triple twirl.
Yeah. So it's probably
the double twirl.
This, and then it goes to here, and then to this.
Okay, cool. So it's basically a slower timer.
Yeah.
So whenever you attack, you turn it an additional time, and then until end of turn, up to 1 target Clash card assigns damage equal to its defense rather than its attack.
Yeah. And so the trigger attack is on itself. That's what I was confused about. Because you would engage to attack, and then you would exhaust to do this ability.
And then, if you're under 15, when you do the exhaustion, Clash cards get +1 defense, which means that their defense power goes higher, which means that the flip of the trigger ability is on.
Oh, even so the first ability is trigger off exhaust, not engage.
Oh, okay.
So it's
everything is making sense.
I don't know how many things will let you exhaust.
We're reviewing the set together,
but that makes sense. So it won't be every turn, but I assume it'd be every other turn.
Yeah.
You're just basically drawing a card and getting this ability.
Okay. And then you're incentivized to play high defense units.
Yeah, and then while it's exhausted, your cards get +1 defense on your opponent's turn.
That's okay. This is the kind I actually would like to play this way.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this.
Very nice. So that's the most probably the most complex cards that we're going to look at.
Yeah.
Is right there, and it's a whole contender. So the next thing worth looking at are the clash buffs. And there's one for each color. They're all 1 cost. Clash buffs are essentially like reaction speed things, but you can it's unique the way this works in the game. They're very powerful, but you basically, someone attacks, someone blocks, then the attacker gets a chance to play 1, and the defender gets a chance to play 1.
Which is a huge advantage to the defender, ultimately.
Yeah, I learned that live.
So tell me that I know that you had revelations in the grand testing wagon or whatever about
picture a wagon going by.
You and Hamilton and whatever other scoundrels you picked up along the way, which seemingly was also happening. Yeah. Ian and Tim. So and Matt Coles couldn't stay away. He couldn't stay away.
It was literally Friday of the event, and I get a knock on my hotel room door, and it's like I got there pretty early on Friday, and I go to look through the hole in the door, and it's like covered up, and I was like, "Am I about to die? Like, what is this?" And then I waited until it uncovered, and all I could see was someone had a backpack. And I was like, in my mind, I thought, is Matt Coles here?
No
and I
way.
took a chance, and I opened it, and then he turned, and there he was.
That's amazing. He says he surprised you by showing up?
He's surprised by showing up.
Oh, Matt, that's so cool. So y'all, you guys put your heads together and listen to Michael, and then
listen to Michael.
And then the consensus was, oh my gosh, Clash buffs are the most incredibly busted, important, swing-heavy cards in this game.
So
is that accurate?
It's really the set 1 Clash buffs.
Yeah.
Because they're 0 cost. They give +2/+2, and you draw a card, so they replace themselves.
So that's a very good card.
It's very good, and basically they errated those to make it where they're only really playable with mostly the set 1 contenders. And so unfortunately that means that the Harbingers, the 4 horsemen, basically death, conquest, etc., I think just have a disadvantage right now. So we were doing constructed without this set.
Simply because of the Clash buffs.
Yeah. Primarily, it's not even when you use it that matters. It's their existence that matters, which is you look at the table and you say, if they have a 0 cost Clash buff, this play will be horrible. If if they're on death, as an example, as their contender, they don't have that card.
Yeah.
So now if they don't have any resources, you have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Like you know the math. All the cards are you have all the information as the active player. What other cards am I going to play this turn? Do I have Clash buffs? So it's really powerful to just have those. And then the Clash buffs we got in set 2 for the Harbingers basically are 1 cost, and they're not bad, but it's really hard. The difference between 0 and 1 is infinite.
Yeah, you're talking about that forever.
It is significant, yeah. So there's 5 new Clash buffs, and I'm honestly curious. They've already errated the set 1 buffs. I won't be surprised after this set if they get rid of them.
Okay. Rotate them out.
Yeah. It's just too restricting.
Too good.
But we'll see.
Well, and I think what we're seeing here with the 1 cost Clash buffs, we're being encouraged now to start holding resources across the turn. So maybe I do have a trap and a Clash buff, and you don't know which one I'm going to play, but one of these, I'm going to use the resources to get value somehow on my turn.
Yeah, and like an example of this, the first one here is you're going down. So this is the black Clash buff. You may only play this card if your contender is a black discarded.
Okay.
So currently Lord Krung.
Yeah.
Draw a card, so it replaces itself. Good. And the set 2 ones didn't. They didn't draw cards. So it costs 1 and doesn't replace itself.
That's tough.
It says target Clash card you control gets necrotic until the end of turn. Then if the portal is closed, discard 1 card.
Wow, dude, necrotic's great. So that's a poison effect, right? It means if you hit it all, then you win.
Yeah, so if they send a big attacker over, you can block with a little 1/1, play this, and they go away, which is really powerful.
And it seems like I was watching the stream and kind of the way the games were playing out, which was incredible. I mean, it was totally... Michael and Peter at the end were just like, they were just zooming. I mean, they both knew exactly what was going on, and that's always fun to watch. But it seems that most of the time you're going to put a big threat out and then swing, do some damage with it, and then they got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And then they're going to put a big threat out, and then they're going to swing, and then you got to do something about it. Classic card games. This allows you to always do something about it.
That's right. And I think one of the key differences that seems small when you first start playing Alpha Flash, but is huge, is that Clash cards don't have summoning sickness. So the pattern you were just describing is really important, which is I play a thing. If you don't have anything on the board, I immediately get value out of it. I've attacked. It's your turn. So technically, if you play something of a similar power and you attack me directly, well, now I'm ahead on because you don't have anything out. I swing. So, but if you attack the thing I attacked with, you might remove it, but I got the damage in. So I hit you for 4. We both lost things. Now it's my turn again. I play a thing, swing. So that tempo means that the ability to do something about it is really important. So if I play a 4-cost 4/4 and swing, you play a 3 and a 1, or a 2 and a 1, and you have 1 floating with this card sitting around. You get hit me for some damage. Now I still have a thing. I attack, you block, and then you make sure it goes away.
Poison it, necrotic it.
Yeah. So that's really powerful. Next up, we have Shattering Blow. This is the green Clash buff. 1 cost. These are all 1 cost 1 threshold as well. So you have to spend the 1 of that color to play it. You may only play this card if your contender is green. Okay. So this would work
It's a different one. So that's a different style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until the end of turn, target Clash card gets +2/+2. Good. And trigger victory, send target accessory to Oblivion.
Cool. Conditionally good.
That can be very good. Yeah.
It does not replace itself, right? No draw?
It does not replace itself. But it does get a bonus benefit, right? Like a pretty strong one if you don't have other ways of doing it.
I saw everybody was just working those binoculars at the event, so this might be really relevant.
Those binoculars are good. All right, next up we have Triumphant Revitalization, the 1-cost white Clash buff. You may only play this card if your contender is white. So again, any white contender can use it. Target contender or Clash card control gets +1/+1. Then target contender gains 3 health and you draw a card.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay. Wow. That's great.
It is very good. Now we're in the realm of playable.
Okay. This is good. This is really good.
Yeah. You would start thinking about playing this over the 0 cost. And I can see scenarios too, like with the Shattering Blow. You might, if they both exist, you would have both in deck and sideboard 1. And then depending on if you have a problem with their accessories, then you'd swap it out or whatever.
Like it.
All right. Now this is the craziest one.
Really? And it's blue?
Yeah. Blue needed it and they got it. Augmented Reality. 1 cost. You may only play this card if your contender is blue. Choose 1. Clash cards target player controls gain +2 defense until the end of turn. Then that player draws 2 cards.
Wow. Love it.
Or Clash cards target player controls gets -2 attack until the end of turn. Then that player diminishes 2 cards.
All right. You choose the first one. Both of them could be good. The first one's almost always the one you choose. The second one's kind of I need 1 more turn. And I think I can get it if I give everything -2.
Yeah, and if they have a bunch of things out, that might be worth it. Even if you're attacking like 3 times, it saves 6 health, which is crazy.
Okay, and maybe we'll see a mill deck. Maybe we'll see a fatigue mill deck, and everyone will just be overjoyed.
There is I believe there's a Clash ground in this set that every time you diminish, you take a damage.
Okay.
So I think that it's technically mill, but it's actually damage.
Okay, I believe you. Cool. A little Ashes throwback.
That's right. Heat of Battle. 1 cost red Clash buff. You may only play this card if your contender is red. Deal 2 damage to target Clash card you control. If you do, deal 4 damage to target Clash card you don't control.
Okay. Is this considered so would this buff up Torque?
The contender Torque can't. It's a Clash card that gets hit with this, not Torque.
What about the baby Torque? The unliving or undeniable.
So if you played this and did 2 to your own 1 cost Torque, he goes up 2. And then you do 4 to them.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
It's very good. It's also 4 damage destroys so many things in the game. And if you're doing it in concert with things like the Torque Contender Ping or like the 6-cost Flare that's 2 to everything.
Yeah.
Attacks, and you play this, it's like you clear it. It's
it's a
great rank.
That could just clear the blocker outright.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times too, because Clash damage clears after every Clash, but this damage doesn't.
Yeah.
You'll swing with something with 3 health. Cool. Then you'll swing with the next thing and use the buff on that one. So you do 2 to the thing that's already attacked because it's kind of safe at this point. Anyways, very good card.
Okay.
I like the art too.
So in your experience in the limited format, were these cards having an impact? They were everywhere?
So in the limited format, you can actually play all of these cards regardless of the first line of text.
Oh,
But
wow.
in constructed, you can only play 4 clash buffs total, so that rule still applies.
Okay.
Which is really nice because in sealed you open 10 packs, and it essentially guarantees everyone has 4 clash buffs.
Cool.
You just don't know what you still have to. The threshold still has to be met.
Yeah.
But you can play it regardless. So that dictates a lot of the colors you end up choosing.
Cool.
In that way.
Very cool. Okay, well, cool. So we got contenders and we got clash buffs, and that is kind of the heartbeat of what I would imagine most Alpha Clash sets are. Those two things are really important to look at when you're evaluating a set.
Yeah, they're just kind of the universal, and they give you the baseline of what's going on. So next up we have, we're going to go bottom rarity to top rarity, and we're going to cruise through this.
Okay.
So first is commons, and as you might imagine, commons are somewhat simple. As an example, one of my favorite commons is Death, Envoy of the End. So it's 3 cost, 3 attack, 3 defense, no card text.
The scout of the set.
And I love that they just don't put the text box at all in this.
Look at how
just the
beautiful
art,
that is.
Is doing its thing. Yeah. And I love
great.
Death, so you love to see it.
You do love Death.
Next up, another,
actually
and these are in limited particularly, these are just like bomb cards.
Just a 3/3. It's just like,
oh my god, yeah. Sometimes like there's so little removal too that your opponent's just like, oh man, this is a death card for sure. Next is Lin Adaptive Automaton. So it's a 4 cost 5/3. No text.
4 for 5, baby.
Yeah, 1 threshold as well. So these are just like sealed bread and butter.
I love these cards.
Yeah,
we gotta play some sealed.
Yeah,
Did you bring
we
back
do.
any packs or anything?
No, but we definitely will with the upcoming release.
But I
of the
want
set.
it now.
This is also a part of the big 16 card. Put the cards together and they form the art.
Yeah,
and you'll see some of those here. We'll probably pop that on screen. I think that's worth seeing where you can see those cards. John's giving me the nod, so we're good on that. Next up, we have Blazing Kagan, 4 cost, 1 threshold, and he's a 4/3, and he actually does have some text. It's very simple. If your contender has a weapon attached, it gets flight.
Yep.
So a 4 with those stat lines is good enough, and then his is a game ender.
Yep.
It's just a game ender. This is also part
they're
of that
just
art
doing.
spread.
They're going for it, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this is getting me jacked.
It was
like
good. It was
full
good
art
weekend for
kinda
the. Yeah, it's
stuff.
good.
Yeah.
Next, we have Magnate Battle Ready, 3 cost. Even if he didn't have text, this card would be great.
2/4.
He's a one threshold 2/4, and then he does have a victory condition. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a non-clash card, put it into your hand. If it's not, put it on the bottom of your deck. So
You may put it on the bottom of your deck. Cool.
Yeah,
So,
so
that's a nice
card filter, card draw, and 4 health is a key. That's why that red clash buff is so important too. Like a lot of things can do 3 damage, and a lot of things have 3 health. Once you get to that 4 number on a card, we're in a different.
kind of like
territory.
sorcery in that way.
Yeah. Next up, we have Shadowlight Eclipsing Fighter.
I love Shadowlight.
Yeah,
just
me
as
too.
an idea.
I
Now,
want that contender so bad.
What's the theory of Shadowlight? I forget what you told me about Shadowlight.
So he's basically got a light and a dark portion, and you'll see in the art, like this Shadowlight Eclipsing Fighter, he's like all black, and then he's got like a glowing eye. So I have another piece of art, which is going to be the opposite, where he's like whitish gold, and he's got the energy's coming out. And so he basically has powers depending on which form he's in.
Cool. Yeah, it's cool. That's as simple as you need it to be.
Yeah,
It's like,
It
All right,
changes. So he's a 3/4. Again, 4 is on the number. It's 1 threshold. These are all limited fundies. When this card deals clash damage to opponent's contender, you may return it to your hand. If you do, put a Shadowlight clash card not named Shadowlight Eclipsing Fighter from your hand into your clash zone engaged.
Engaged is the key word there.
So like he attacks. If he hits their contender, he can swap out for a different card, and now you have this card to play again next turn. And in this set, the one that you normally switch out for.
Or like if you're really cool, you could, and you had a bunch of resources, you could play him again.
Yes.
And then throw it out.
It doesn't take that much to make that
a
reality. The other Shadowlight in this set, Shadowlight Finding Equilibrium. Again, 3 cost, 1 threshold, 2/3. Trigger enter. Target clash cards get -X power until end of turn, where X is equal to the number of Shadowlight cards you control.
Cool.
They've been sprinkling Shadowlight cards into the sets. I assume we'll get a contender soon, and then it'll just be full of all these There's other Shadowlight cards that kind of do the swap thing too.
Cool.
And his whole mechanic is shifting from light to dark, basically, and back and forth. And then the final one, the best, saved it for last. Flare Nova Radiator is a 1/1/1.
Okay, well that's already okay.
Once per turn during your primary phase, you may spend 2 red. If you do, create a red Nova Relic accessory token and then draw a card.
Oh.
You'll see.
You gotta kill it.
If you watch the coverage,
You gotta kill it. Pay to draw
several
a card?
times on camera. Hamilton or me would just be sitting there and it's like pay 2 draw once a turn.
Yeah.
And if you don't attack with it, they have to have close combat. Like if they don't have a way to get this off the table, they are eventually going to lose this game.
Yeah, you can't compete with pay 2 draw.
Yeah, and you
just can't.
You never even need to use the Nova tokens for that to be good. But if you do use the Nova tokens, it's even worse.
Man, that's awesome.
All right, so those are the comments. Moving on. Okay, so scaling up here, we have Lynn the Disruptor. 3 cost, now 2 threshold, which is harder to come by. But the stat line is so good. It's a 3/4. And then if your opponent has 10 or more cards in their Oblivion, it gets flight.
Okay, good end game card.
Late game, just incredible card.
Cool art, too.
Yeah.
What does he do? Soaking up the electrics?
Just tapping into the network. Ghost in a shell. I'm
disrupting.
Super cool.
Can't stop the signal.
Next, we have Conquest Sash, which I've always wanted a sash, in a game. So this is a relic and an accessory. So it goes into your accessory zone, and it shows you why like that green clash buff is so important. It says, whenever your contender deals clash damage to an opponent's contender, you may engage this card if you do draw 1 card.
Oof.
So this is particularly great if you're attacking, like if your opponent's contender ever wants to attack you, like if they're on the Magnate, it suddenly turns it into, I'll attack you and do damage, but then I'm letting my opponent draw a card.
That's very, very good.
Yeah.
Look at all the cards that draw cards.
Card draw is important.
I've got a winning strategy. Get on my racing form.
Man, just shocking.
Card draw card.
Let's see. Yeah. And then the third uncommon that is another game ender, and I love this. Again, they're pushing a different direction with the game. It's called Magnate Lone Fighter. So he's a 6 cost, 2 threshold, 4/4.
Wow, 6 costs.
He's got flight. If we stopped there, he would be worth it. Mm-hmm. But then it says this card gets +4/+4 as long as you control no other clash cards.
Whoa. 8 flight coming at you out of nowhere? No.
In Matt Cole's, in the limited event, he was in a win-in to make top 8. And it goes to game 3, and I just finished mine. I won mine, so I was going to the top 8. And we're just like watching him. And then he literally, last turn of the game, he plays this card and swings for 8 and wins. And then his opponent shakes his hand. He looks at it. He goes, 8/8 flyer, pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, but the thing I like about this is a lot of the Magnate cards in this set are pushing this idea that like Magnate is your guy. And thematically it makes sense because he's not a team player, if that makes sense. So having some like this like low clash card count deck, and so many of the value cards remove clash cards. So it's nice to see them pushing in sort of this like alternative direction. And then, you play, if you have your one thing out, and then they have to get rid of this. Yeah. And then they do, and then you play the next one. Yeah. It's like, oh man, brutal.
That is a brutal card. Yikes.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have Pestilence Plaguebringer. 4 cost, 2 green threshold. I had 2 of these in my limited deck, which is a huge reason that I did well at this tournament. Just being strictly honest about that. He's a 3/3. Trigger enter. Target clash card gets -3/-3 until the end of turn.
Yeah, incredible.
So you play a 3/3, they remove a 3/3, and then he also has...
And if health goes to 0, they discard it.
Yeah, they are defeated. Trigger defeat. If the portal is open, you may put target clash card with initial resource cost of 1 or less from Oblivion on top of your deck. So I would use this. They would have destroyed my Flare Nova Radiator.
Come on,
put that thing on the top of deck, and then let's rinse and repeat that. Yeah,
come on, man.
Next, we have Gamma Fire, and this is kind of an example of cards that boost Magnate instead of Clash cards. It's a contender weapon accessory, so you pay 3 to play it. Then you have to pay 2 greens to attach it. Whenever the attached contender attacks, you may engage this card. If you do, deal 1 damage to all Clash cards defending player controls. You may send this card to Oblivion. If you do, deal 3 damage instead.
Goodness gracious.
Can only be attached to Magnate.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. So we're kind of pushing this idea. Wow, contender weapon. Huh.
Yeah. Now remember that Magnate that we saw with 2 attack, though, can't attack if they have 3 or more Clash cards.
So we're seeing the Uber builds, the Build-A-Bear, the Beric Dondarrion deck.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Next, this card is absolutely bonkers. Victory Peak. 3 cost, 1 threshold. Clash cards get trigger victory. Your contender gains 1 health. So every time you win in exchange, you gain a health.
Yikes.
It also has counter attack. You may engage this card if you do. Choose target contender or clash card you control. Prevent the next 3 clash damage that be dealt to them this turn. And it's on attack.
Okay.
So if you attack my contender, I engage this, prevent the next 3 it would take.
Whoa.
And I get to do that once a turn. It also has counter play. Once they play a card, you may engage this card. If you do, choose target contender or clash card to control. Prevent the next 3 non-clash damage that would be dealt to it this turn.
Goodness gracious, man. Why is Conquest killing a dragon?
I mean, he's out there conquesting.
Do you know about that? Do you know anything about that? Is this just some sort of like distant universal dragon?
We've basically gotten teased about the Harbingers in the book. They have not really done a lot yet.
Conquest must be awesome. That hammer is always going to be cool, by the way. I love angles.
Agreed. All right, moving on through, we have another relic accessory, Crimson Scales. Exclusive means you can only have one of these in play at a time. 3 cost red, 1 threshold. Once per turn during your primary phase, you may engage this card. If you do, deal 1 damage to target clash card. If that clash card is defeated by this effect, choose 1. Deal 2 damage to a target clash card. Deal 1 damage to a target contender, or draw a card.
Draw a card. Wow, awesome card.
Yeah,
and I like it. It's balanced nicely around. If I do the ping, and then I attack the thing to get it off the board, this doesn't trigger. So
yeah,
and if I clash, the damage goes away, and then this can't do the final volley once the clash is over.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little balancing mechanism, because I imagine it maybe started out not that way, and then they were like, "This is way too good."
Yeah, yeah, and
too good.
I something about the way the red and green shows up in the physical card looks really good.
Look at the art has just been really on fire here for me.
Yeah, they're on a
really loving it. It's just
set 3 is a different level.
It feels more like just in your face, kind of this vibrant, like it's almost more visceral. Like I'm in the art more. It's not just scenes off over there.
It reminds me of like when a TV show gets into that like second season.
Yeah.
And all the actors are sort of like vibing. Is how the whole thing with Alpha Clash feels at this point for me. All right, next up, a lot of cards. Flare, Infernal Arrival, 3 cost, 1 threshold, 2/2. Flanked, that's a good keyword. Trigger enter, deal 2 damage to a target clash card. If that clash card is defeated by this effect, you may send 1 Nova token you control to Oblivion. If you do, deal 2 damage to target contender.
That's great.
Yeah, so if you play this...
Ooh, I like that card.
...and get those effects, it's very powerful.
That's really strong. Okay, very good.
All right, next we go to the epics.
Yeah, let's look at the epics.
And I love how simple some of these are. As an example, I was mentioning utility things earlier. We have Lord Krung, Ruthless Warlord, 2 cost, 2/2. He's necrotic. Good keyword. Other discarded cards you control get +1/+1.
Great.
Strictly.
Love it.
Yeah, but this is why close combat's so important. If you can't get him off the board, you've got a problem.
Look at it. And he's down there and he's taking out the Romans.
Yeah.
So this is like the fall of the Roman Empire was potentially a clash event. Just like this guy showed up and it's like, who is this? It's the Agamemnon type. And it's like, oh, no, he's actually from a different universe, boss.
The discarded show up in... They're explained as like the demons or the like Bigfoots or the cryptids. There's a word for it.
I think cryptid was Metazoo.
That's what they're based on. The same stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole that sort of thing.
Wow.
Anyways, great card, and you can see like that's just it's very simple, but that's going to be a 4 of in those kind of decks.
I think I like Lord Krung a lot. I don't know. I like swords, maybe. I don't know. I'm just old school. I'm not fancy.
Like barbarian,
I grew up on fantasy.
Yeah, you're also a brute player, so that makes sense.
Can't stop it.
Next
what
up,
like?
Lynn, the Nanite Assassin, 1 cost blue, 1 threshold, 2/2.
1 blue. Wait. How is that possible?
Well, it would already be playable if we were just done here. But instead, we get more. Trigger enter. Target opponent diminishes a card. Then you may put a bounty counter on a target clash card you don't control.
And that is a way to then attack them even if they're not engaged.
And then it says at the end of your turn, if one or more clash cards with bounty counters were defeated this turn, you may put target clash card with initial resource cost of 2 or less from any Oblivion into your clash zone.
Whoa.
Card's good.
What is this card?
Card is good.
They just decided to serve blue on a freaking platter this set, right?
Blue is probably the one that needed the most.
I mean, this card is crazy.
It is crazy.
This is a crazy card, right?
The whole set is full of crazy cards for blue. Like I said, they got the clash buff, they got this, the whole bounty mechanic. I think Lynn's going to be really good.
Okay. So they basically said, all right, we're done messing around.
Yeah.
We're just gonna make it work.
Yeah. Next we have Flare Pyroblast Assault.
Well, that looks familiar.
I
know this card.
It is our exclusive promo, which if you're watching this around the time the video went up, you still have time to sign up for a subscription and get.
Yes.
1 per box. You sign up. The way a subscription works, sign up for 4 spots. You get 4 boxes of every set automatically moving forward, and you would get a play set of the promos. And I believe it's free shipping it too.
It's 2 or 3.
Depends on the game.
And here's the thing too, you think about it and you're like, I don't want the next set and the next and the next set. You can always just turn the spigot off anytime you want. There's no like, it's just an off on. So if you're like, I want to get this set, I want 4 boxes, all right, activate my sub, it's free to do that. Then I get charged, I get the boxes, and then it's like, okay, like I don't want any more Alpha Clash. And then I just click deactivate, and then I don't get any more Alpha Clash.
Yeah. We also have a subscription for the Clash kits if you want to automatically receive those. So this is a 5 cost, 2 threshold, 4/4, decent stat line, exclusive, so you can only have 1 in play, smart.
Yeah.
Whenever you play a red card, deal 1 damage to target contender or Clash card.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
Just a Fundy's red card.
Right, yep.
Yeah,
so
red likes damage.
Red likes damage.
All right, next up, more red likes damage. Torque, Fury's Embrace, 5 cost, 2 threshold, 0 attack, 2 power. Exclusive, so you can only have 1 in play.
So, okay, hold on. You read me that stat line, I'm like, who made a mistake? Who put the wrong thing on the spreadsheet?
Well, we're about to have a spreadsheet correcting situation. It gets plus X attack, where X is equal to the amount of non-clash damage dealt this turn.
Okay, still questioning this
Once
card.
per turn, engage this card. If you do, deal damage to target Clash card equal to this card's attack power.
Okay, got it. So you can do that. He's like a battery, and then you discharge him.
Heat of Battle is the red Clash buff. If you use that, he gets 6 attack. And then he can just engage to do 6 to something, or he can swing for 6.
You can do 4 to any other?
It's 2 to yourself, 4 to any other, and this is all non-clash damage on the turn.
Oh, not just
attack.
dealt to you or him or anybody. It's dealt
so
around the
you
world.
can potentially stack this guy up to like a bunch.
Oh, okay, and then you just send it, and he stays on the board.
If Crimson Scales is on the board, do 1 to something, he gets +1.
That
I told you
has got to go.
You said pick my favorite cards. There's a lot of red on the table.
That has got to go. I mean, you can't double up on non-clash damage on the table. If this thing and all of your clash damage essentially double because he swings.
Fortunately, he's only 2 health, so there's an endless and 0 power to start. There's an endless number of cards that can take him off the table.
Okay, so figure it out.
Yeah. All right. This card I wanted to show just because it's crazy. It's called Supernova. 7 cost, 3 red threshold. As additional cost to play this card, send 7 Nova tokens you control to Oblivion.
Okay, well, people are building it. I know the people that build this card.
Yeah. Draw 2 cards, then choose 2. Deal 7 damage to target contender.
Okay.
Send all Clash cards to Oblivion. Send all accessories to Oblivion. Send all Clash Grounds to Oblivion. Players may not play Clash Grounds for the rest of the game.
Whoa.
If you draw 2 or more Flare Clash cards, you may reduce the cost to play this resource by 1 red threshold and 1 red resource.
Okay.
The trick is going to be, I don't know how often we can get to 7 Nova tokens.
Well, if you keep doing that pay 2, draw, make a token thing, you can get there pretty quick. By the time you get 7, you've already won the game.
That's the trick. Yeah, but dealing 7 to a contender is a lot.
That is a lot.
So this I'm curious if this is actually playable or if it's just like we know the players that are going to play this. You know what I mean?
You gave the Brewers the send all Clash cards to Oblivion card, so they're going to brew it.
So ship it.
Here comes the prison deck. I'm going to lock them out and kill everything, and then take over the board. Those kinds of things. All right, now it looks like you've just chosen things that look great.
Yeah. So we basically have these 5 down here are the artist series. So these are
these look good.
This is the Lord Krung, Ruthless Warlord. It's the same card that we looked up here, 2/2 plus 1 extra stuff.
Look at that card.
But it's signed. You got the gold and signature of the thing.
I truly do love this.
Yeah, and these are the same cards that show up as case toppers. So case toppers are full art and now actually tournament legal. You just have to have a copy of this for your opponent to see if you're playing like this one on the screen. Case toppers come 1 in a case, and if you're a subscriber ordering less than a case, the case toppers we open when we're opening the case to get the boxes together randomly go in those subscription shipments.
This, Zach, this.
He looks awesome.
I can't help myself. I'm just an old-fashioned fantasy man. This is incredible. He's got that kind of like that soliloquy skull in one hand and sword in the other.
Yeah, man. He's a classy gentleman. You can tell.
Wow. What are the other ones? Let's show the other ones.
Yeah, so Magnate, Destruction, or Destructive Adversary. The lights are making this, the gold text and the lights on where it's at. Then we also have Cao Ling, the Huntsman. And then this is the Lin that we looked at earlier. Lin, the Nanite Assassin. It's the 1-cost Lin.
That Cowling, man. Ugh.
Got him. And then we have Torque, Fury's Embrace. It looks like he's having a good time with Flare there.
Wow. Wow, these are awesome.
Yeah. And then we have the final 2 cards in the set, which are the legendaries that are worth seeing. So the first one is Flare, Flamebound Seeker. 4 cost, 2 threshold, 0 attack, 3 power. She has flight. She's unrivaled. So you can only have one unrivaled card in your entire deck.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. This is the one.
During your primary phase, you may engage this card. If you do, deal 1 damage to target contender or clash card.
Okay.
So tap, do 1. Whenever you play a red card during your primary phase, you may ready this card.
Okay. Cool.
At the end of your turn,
I get it.
If you've dealt at least 5 damage with this card, search your deck for a flare clash card and put it into play. Then shuffle your deck.
So it could be is Supernova a flare card?
That's not a flare card. Yeah. But you'd have to do it 5 times. So I don't know how often you're going to play 5 red cards, but that's a lot of red cards.
Honestly, I feel like more often you're going to be readying and not using that last engagement so that they can't attack.
Yeah.
It's just a constant.
Ping 1, play a red card. Yeah, you get it.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Okay, then next we get
block a few times.
Magnate, King of the Gambit. 7 cost, 4 green threshold, 4/4. Unrivaled, so again, you get 1 unrivaled card per deck. Trigger attack. Each player discards 1 card.
Okay.
This card gets +1/+1 for each other Magnate in your Clash Zone and in your Oblivion.
Fascinating. King of the Gambit. Okay.
If this card's attack power is 10 or more, this card gets Breakthrough. So if you have 6 Magnate Clash cards in your discard pile, he's a 10/10 with Breakthrough.
Understood.
When this card deals Clash damage to a player's contender, that player must send all Clash cards they control to Oblivion, then send this card to Oblivion.
So it is the Gambit. Wow.
So the Gambit is what they refer to as the big clash that's happening to decide who the champion of Earth is going to be. Spoiler: someone's the king. Then we have the alternate art version of this, the AR version, and I just can't get over how much I love the way this looks. The foiling, so like normally the text is gold, but it's silver for here, and he's got like the white border going on and the textures. You can see the different textures of these foils. And
I like the
silver logo down here. It's just so...
Wait, what is that? It's like a flame? That's really cool.
Yeah, it's hard to capture that, but the different levels of rarity have different textures on the foiling and different pieces of it in different colors. It's very, very pretty.
I'll read one, I guess.
It's the same card.
All right. Wow, what a set. Unrivaled. Hey, man, this is cool. Is this the first time they've really built it for limited?
I don't know if it is built for limited.
Every set can be built for limited, but this is the first time they've had a big event and they made sealed a big part of that event. So clearly, like, these commons are just so fundamentally sealed, limited kind of cards.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is it just feels like the combination of everything happening, the culmination, which is the art, the design and testing before a game launches is so hard. You don't have any players playing it to get feedback and data. It's hard to find play testers. You're doing all that in a vacuum. Yeah. And then you release the first set and you get to learn a lot. It's like, what are people's favorite art styles? Which cards are they gravitating towards? You see the game actually out there in the world in play. So it feels like from a design, development, art, plus the organized play is actually kicking off now. Yeah. It's just all kind of culminating. And all the players at the event this weekend were just fantastic. Some cosplayers, people dressed as different characters.
That's the independent card game vibe, though.
Yeah.
The fandom is deep. When it's not so wide, it's very deep. Yeah. It's very real.
So yeah, this is a great set. If you haven't played Alpha Clash, I think this is one that's worth getting in on. Sealed's really fantastic. Open 10 packs, choose a contender and play.
Grab a Clash kit.
Yeah.
Get started that way. And, this is one, I'll wax poetic here for a second. I'll get on my bulk box back there. This is like the cool thing about independent games and independent publishers is all the people who have been here along the way, all the players who started with Set 1, who backed the Kickstarter, who have continued to buy the product and go to the events, are allowing the team at Alpha Clash to continue to improve art style, design, testing. So it's really more of a community effort than some of these more bigger funded top-down kind of games. So like it's just really awesome that all of you out there, I presume many of you watching have been a part of this journey along the way, and we're seeing it just get better and better and better. And that's the beauty of these indie games ultimately. So thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to Rising Empire, everybody in the Alpha Clash team. I know a lot of beta testers are doing their work as well. This just looks fantastic, and we think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, incredible set, and very much looking forward to the release and going to more Alpha Clash events.
And grab that subscription. Get yourself a little Flare promo and get you some booster boxes from us at the old Team Covenant. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.